now that you can do that, and that isn't affected by your sexuality. But I do think to be doing it on a network TV show and to take an established character and do it was, a big step for the show. But the reaction has been overwhelmingly positive, and I've loved getting thus far to tell the story, and we have another season ahead, so to continue telling that story and hopefully be able to provide some really positive, not just diversity but representation for that community.
A lot of men don't feel any. Thanks for all that, by the way. A lot of it don't feel permission or even a kind of notion of maybe exploring their sexuality. And I'm wondering if, as you're an advocate for the queer community, whether you have thoughts or ideas for men who are thinking about that, or questions about that, or kind of maybe struggling with that. Easier for them.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess my hope.
Psychiatrist. Sorry.
Everything of who we are and the decisions we made is obviously, to some extent, probably a large extent, influenced by external factors, right? Things that we see on the television, movies that we go and see. So I hope that the kind of stories that we're able to tell on 911 and other shows end up maybe giving people confidence or permission to explore whatever they want to explore. I guess I would kind of lean into what I said earlier, and I don't mean this in any kind of minimizing way, but in the grand scheme of things, who cares, right? It's like that's what I've always tried to tell myself of, what's this person going to think of me with regards to whatever it is. And it's like, we're all just people trying to work our way through the world. Nobody really knows. We're all just wandering around. So make the decisions that you want to make, explore the things that you want to explore, because it doesn't really matter in the end. So why not go after the things that may end up making you happy?
Yeah. And I love in this way you're also suggesting what does really matter is you and your individual journey. And one of our guests several months ago, Vic Blends, the celebrity barber, came in, and this powerful moment he ended with saying, a lot of ways, Fred, you're saying this notion of your past is yours alone.
Anything we have control over, right?
It's really missing the point.
So to a large extent,
so
anyway,
I really appreciate that encouragement.
Our own decisions, our own character. So beyond that is perhaps a waste of energy.
Yeah. I think that's a wonderful mantra for us all to be taking forward.
Will you tell us a little bit about your kind of maybe you're on a road trip right now, but when you're not road tripping, you're kind of mental.
I like to get outside.
Are there things that really keep you going, keep you centered, non-negotiable?
But even before the dogs or without the dogs, I like to spend time outside, preferably, in an environment that contains some nice nature. Although I guess everything to some is nature. Because I think it's grounding, I guess would be a word, and it just reminds me of kind of everything we've just said, but my place in the world, and I'm lucky enough to live on a little bit of land, just shy of an acre, and so, for example, I can't remember where I first read this, but it was something to do with like once you buy a house or once you buy a property or land, it doesn't mean that you own it. It means that you've taken up the mantle of caretaking for that land, right? So if I can tend to my land and keep it in good shape and condition so that it helps the environment around me thrive. So that's I guess one of the things, like working on the environment around me is something that really kind of centers me and helps me feel a little bit better about things in my life. I would say curating my experience with the internet is something that is very important to my mental health. Well, I mean, so I came off, Instagram is not so bad for me.
What are your tips? How do you do that?
Yeah. I came off X.
Okay. Thanks
some
for
years
that. Me
ago.
either. Yeah.
Certainly as Oliver Stark. But then I had like another account which I would mostly look at like sports stuff and everything. But you know, the way that I'm talking about curating my life, obviously these social media apps curate and through their algorithms what they want you to see. So it's like unavoidable to see stuff about, you know, you click on something about yourself once, and then it's like every time I check it, I would read something that didn't make me feel good about myself. So part of my experience now is that I just don't look, which I know is maybe an extreme thing, and obviously the any civilian, any layperson isn't going to see something nasty about themselves every day. So I'm not saying nobody should be on social media, obviously. But I do think, you know, muting accounts that don't make you feel good about yourself and or that show you things that are upsetting to you. I'm not that we should always avoid the upsetting things, but upsetting for the wrong reasons. So yeah, I think being deliberate in the content that we consume, you know, so for me that meant completely pulling away from it, but I don't think that would be everybody's step. But yeah, I think making intentional choices about what it is that we are privy to.
Those are great, wonderful pieces, and I really appreciate, you know, both the nature and the notion of grounding, a big piece of mental fitness, and a part that I think gets neglected. And I love the way that you framed it, though. It's not just about out here in Wyoming and the big nature. It's not just about, you know, the big woods and anytime we drive through, come on, and the mountains and all that. It can be in your little acre. I really experience this. I have a little tiny lot, but the amount of pleasure of planting stuff, you know, replacing grass with trees and flowers, you know, tending to it your own little place, whether it's a little flower box or whether it's a full yard or a farm. It's just such a great point for all of us, Oliver, that there's something
and you know, we
in
are
the
nature
for all of us, even in the small.
like
As you said,
we
as
are.
you're saying,
I
nature's
think
everywhere.
that's
We all have access
a disconnect as well of like
such
we are not looking at nature, we are nature. And then, you know, we are part of the makeup of the nature around us. So by taking care of it, we're taking care of ourselves, and by taking care of ourselves, we're taking care of it.
Yeah, I love that, and also that we all been so often are searching for a sense of belonging. I really like that you invoke that, like, in nature we should sense that or look for that or have an appreciation that, like, we do belong right there. We are that. I hadn't really framed it that way before. That's a wonderful. And then this idea of not just letting the algorithm curate our social media, that part of what we are consuming our diet these days isn't just the fruits and vegetables we need to eat more of, but is this that kind of images, content, the stuff that's just put in front of us. And if we don't take charge and really block out some of what we're not liking, not to the extent that we're going to ignore the problems.
Maybe a cliche, but it's the whole.
We're not taking care of ourselves.
You can't
really
pour from an empty cup. You know,
you
you have to be able to help people from a place of. You know, you have to be in a somewhat good place yourself to be able to help others. So if you just consume doom and gloom and you bring yourself down with that, then are you in a position to then amplify or help anybody else?
You know, Oliver, I hope after this you're not going to be nervous about any mental health conversations because you're a treat to talk with about it. You clearly think about it. It's part of your life. In all seriousness, it's really enjoyable for me as a old psychiatrist to speak with you and the hopefulness that you provide. I was just interviewed Ruth Whitman, who wrote this book Boy Mom, which is just it's a great male mental health book. But she was talking about solutions. And the reason I bring up Ruth is the solution that really struck me is the one that you demonstrate. That we need more stories about men doing more things that are male, but aren't this traditional notion, aren't the island, right, are the super macho bisexual hero, right, that exists in all of his glory in the world, and now because of you, on a lot of screens around the world. And so it's really a treat for me to go from hearing about the solution and then living, and your openness, and then what you're representing. It's really it's a treat to be with you. Can you share first of all, safe driving the rest of your road trip? Puppies, you dogs, take care of him. Can you share this kind of final thought headed into the weekend? Something maybe we can all use as a bit of a mantra direction for our mental fitness as we're thinking about. You've given us some great ones, but you got another one for us?
To find something, I guess, exciting in your life, right? So for a new interest of mine is art history. Mm.
Well, everybody, it looks like that was our time with Oliver Stark. What an absolute treat to be with Oliver, a buck from the show 911. We got him briefly on his road trip back home. I'm going to save this live so you can share it. What an absolute treat. Everybody, thank you so much for joining us. Sean, wow, thank you, my friend at Men's Health, for getting such a wonderful guest. Everybody, please take this, share it liberally with your friends. Use it to power your mental fitness and mental health this weekend. Greg Scott Brown, our colleague,